What's up, everybody? Paulie malignaggi for Paulie TV. Fresh off watching that Charlo versus Castano rematch. Another great fight between these two terrific warriors. I watched it over in England, and I watched it on the international broadcast. I don't know. Usually they have Ray Flores on the international broadcast. He's pretty good. I don't know who the guy was today, but I don't know. I felt like I was watching the Charlo cheerleading side calling the fight for me. I mean, there were shots landing for Castano that he was telling me were landing for Charlo. Charlo would land a shot. It would be a big shot. Castano would land the shot. This guy was saying it was an exchange. I mean, it was actually pretty annoying to watch, but I didn't want to turn the volume down because I wanted to hear the thud of the shots because I wanted to be able to differentiate how solid each guy was landing his shots. Terrific fight. Um, another competitive fight. I had Charlo up 5-4 in the 10th round as they were fighting. And I actually thought Castano was winning a 10th round. So I was on my way, the way it was going, to giving Castano round 10 and having it 5-5. But then the fight suddenly ended very dramatically with a big KO shot. The KO shot, at first I was like, what brought him down? I was like, what brought Castano down? He had taken, it seemed like he'd taken bigger shots during the fight, and he'd been given bigger shots. But upon looking at the replay, it was a nice hook that Charlo threw very short in between the gloves of Castano, and it landed right on the front of his chin, maybe a little high, but still. A lot of times you think, you land on the chin, it's on the side, but you hit somebody right on the front of the chin as well. It can be a pretty shocking thing. A lot of times you see straight right hands land on the front of the chin and knock guys out. So same kind of thing. That left hook was thrown short enough to where it got between the gloves from an angle, and it landed, right on the front of the chin, and I can see how that broke Castano down. The follow up was just elementary. I don't think he was gonna survive. Jerry Cantu, I mean, he did something that was one of my pet peeves. It's one of my pet peeves because one of my favorite fights as a kid, Meldred Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez, I think would have heard the final bell had Richard Steele told Julio Cesar Chavez to get back in the neutral corner while he was counting. Had he stopped the count and done that, the fight ends, and I think Meldred Taylor wins on points. So I don't know. I just got this pet peeve when referees can't tell the fighter who's supposed to be in the neutral corner to get a neutral corner and stay in a neutral corner. It's just infuriating. I mean, I don't think it would have made a difference, even if it would have. Maybe Castano is able to get out of the round if Charlo's not right on top of him right after he gets counted. But either way, he's now going to be down on my card 6-4 because that was a 3-point swing. I was about to I went from about to give Castano round 10 10 9 to now making it a 10-8 round for Charlo if Castano gets out of the round. So being up 6-4 plus a 2-point round around 10, Charlo would have been on his way to winning the fight on my card regardless. But you know so at the end of the day, the stoppage is probably best. But if Charlo gets told to go to the neutral corner instead of the Cantu turning around and Charlo's right on top of Castano already, maybe Castano gets out of the round. I don't know. Listen, I'm nitpicking, but I hate when referees can't do the subtle things, man. It's really freaking annoying. It's all your only job is to do only a handful of things. Most of the fouls in these fights, they don't call them. Most of the time, they're just watching the fight anyway. So when they can't even do the little subtle things, it's pretty annoying. I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood because the call I was hearing of the fight was annoying as well. But I had the fight close. Again, I had it 5-4 going into the 10th round. I had it 3-3 after 6 rounds. I thought it was good boxing by Charlo. I mentioned before the fight, if you guys remember, I said Charlo has to keep the fight in the center of the ring. He did a better job of that, and it probably neutralized Castano's ability to get off more punches. And that wasn't because Castano wasn't worse shape. It's just he had to think his way through, and Charlo was presenting less of a target. Instead of laying on the ropes, when he did get on the ropes, he would smother Castano very well or initiate a clinch. And of course, this would automatically diminish Castano's punch output. So very, very smart tactics because it kind of neutralized Castano's ability to gain a lot of momentum. He was landing good shots. He was pressuring Charlo for a lot of the rounds. Some of the rounds Castano was able to win them based on that pressure and landing shots, and some of the rounds Charlo was able to box well. He didn't lay on the ropes that much or get himself caught on the ropes, and like I said, when he did, he was able to smother and neutralize the follow-up attacks of Castano. relatively well. Nonetheless, I had it close because there were rounds where Castano was landing some hard, solid shots, even if they were single shots or maybe maximum two at a time. But sometimes you would get into a good momentum. Like I said, it was sometimes annoying for me to listen. I mean, literally, there were moments where Castano landed a big shot, and this guy said Charlo was landing the shots. I mean, it was actually like I thought I was in the Twilight Zone watching this fight, so I had to watch it very carefully. But nonetheless, a terrific performance, terrific result for Jermell Charlo. I really think Brian Castano will be back, especially if Charlo decides to move up in weight. I don't know if he will because his twin brother is at 160 pounds and is a world champion at that weight class. So obviously you're not going to be able to unify at that weight class with his brother there. But I'd like to see Jermell if he can make 154 pounds, and I assume he can because he weighed in 152 for this fight. I'd like to see him defend the undisputed super welterweight or junior middleweight title. He may have beaten the best fighters of the weight class already, so I don't know, where we'll go from there. Maybe Sebastian Vondora could be a very interesting proposition. Another Argentine, mind you, coincidentally, which would make things pretty interesting as well for Charlo. But I'd like to see Charlo get in the ring and defend the title as the undisputed junior middleweight champion. Again, a good fight. I didn't think Castano had anything wrong with his tactics. I mean, he's got to force the fight. He's the less gifted of the two, but he's a smart fighter and he knows how to bring the pressure, and he's keep his guard pretty high. He could probably use a little bit more head movement, but nonetheless, he's probably a little too stiff. But nonetheless, he brought it very well, and he was cutting off the ring decently well. Also, and that was also able to allow him to trap Charlo in some moments. Although, like I said, Charlo did a good job of smothering in those moments, but there were the times when he was able to force Charlo into uncomfortable spots and able to land good shots and land good punches. I thought Charlo did a good job with his jab at times, but Castano also had some nice counters over the top of the jibs at times as well. But Charlo does a really good job. Actually, both guys do a really good job. When they get defensive, they keep in good position to fire back. So this is the difference with lower level boxing and higher level boxing. When guys are attacking and getting defensive, they're flowing like water, almost like a Bruce Lee-esque type of flow, where they remain, even when they're in defensive posture, they're in good position to fire off of that defensive posture. They did a good job of that in the first fight as well, because if you remember, Charlo actually hurt Castano with a catch and shoot, and that's because that comes from keeping good positioning when you're on the defensive. So you are able to still be dangerous even from a defensive position. When you're slipping and sliding or getting yourself out of position defensively, even if you have a guy missing, it's hard to make him pay. So it's hard to register that fact that you're dangerous in his mind, and he takes more chances. But when you do this, it forces the guy to take less chances. So when you have a fight like this and guys are still willing to take chances, even though they have each other in defensive positions that are still dangerous, it goes to show you the mental strength of the fighter, the boxing ability of the fighter, and also the intelligence of both fighters. I thought a really fun fight to watch. I think anytime you match these guys up, you'll have a fun fight. But I think through two fights at this point, Charlo has certainly shown himself to be the better of the two. Like I said, slightly more gifted. He was a little bit smarter in there. And this time, great adjustments. I mean, you got to credit Derek James and Joan Guzman in the corner of Jermell Charlo for not only implementing these tactics, but also working on them properly so that he could execute them in a good way. He didn't execute them perfectly, but that's not his fault. That's also part of the reason why Castano is so good. There were moments where he didn't allow Charlo to execute them perfectly, but he executed them well enough to make a difference in this fight. I was actually wondering if Charlo, despite forcing Castano to throw less shots, Charlo in the moments where he was smothering and holding Castano, I was wondering if he was burning too much energy. It was, and if he was going to get tired later from the smothering and the holding, but it didn't end up affecting him. Actually, he was, he seemed pretty fresh, and when you have that kind of power late in the fight, obviously you're very fresh. I thought Castano also landed some good body shots. I thought his body attack was very good. Both guys had a good body attack, but I thought Castano was a bit more consistent, and so that's more of a credit to Charlo for the kind of shape he was in to be able to maintain the energy and the tactics and the discipline, because when you get tired, a lot of times you lose your discipline. So credit to both guys, especially credit to Jermell Charlo, the new undisputed super welterweight champion of the world. This was a very, very good fight, and it's the kind of fight where you really look forward to watching both guys again. And like I said, preferably for me, I'd love to see Jermell Charlo stay and defend the junior middleweight title of the world. The first guy that comes to my mind is Sebastian Fundora. Hopefully, we'll see that fight soon, as both guys are with PBC. Let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what you guys thought of the tactics. How did you guys have it scored when it got stopped? What did you guys think of the fight overall? And drop your comments, man. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Paulie Malignaggi for Paulie TV, coming to you from England. I'll be back in the States this week.